This is the episode number 19. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Today we begin where we left out in our last discourse, Slok 11 of chapter 2, in which Shri Krishna Bhagavan has begun to clear up some of the confusion of Arjuna. He said in that first statement that the wise man, what we call Pandit, and we will have the definitions in Gita quite different from what we normally define in the worldly affairs. The definition of a Pandit is the one who does not sorrow at the death of his most beloved friends, relatives. He does not sorrow for the deaths that are yet to come. Such is the definition of a Pandit. Normally we think of Pandit as one who has learned scriptures in the college or in Banaras or some Vidyapit or university. They know how to talk, how to expound, how to argue, and win over some others who are less educated, or Pandits who can speak on God, read Bhagavatam and scriptures. This Pandit has nothing to do with those. This Pandit is the one who is a seer, who has realized God, is like Mirabai or Jesus, God himself on this earth. So we may make note of the sages and their qualities, if you want to say, or the signs of a sage or signs of a saint who has realized God. This is the first sign. Now then we are going to be talking about Atman. We are going to talk about God. Atman is a very difficult word to describe, just as difficult as describing God, who is beyond description, very contradiction, beyond name and form, beyond conception, and yet we will talk about it and we will see how to arrive at it. I will also use the words that might be interchangeable. Instead of Atma, I might say God sometimes, I may even say Mira sometimes, I may say sometimes Jesus or any other saint. I mean one and the same thing. I may even say Hari or Govind, Shri Krishna. All these names indicate Atman, which is very difficult to describe or point out. That is why we will use varieties of words whom we understand and try to relate or correlate with what is unknown to us, and which is going to remain unknown to us as long as we don't come out of the field of intellect or ego. So we will then learn also how to use the intellect to our advantage and how not to allow the intellect an obstruction to proceed beyond intellect. So these are some of the beautiful things that Gita is going to help us, is going to tell us the truth without compromising, without confusion, without forcing us to believe. It just tells as is, as Sri Krishna is going to now onwards describe the difficulties of Arjun and why, and if he can understand what he is saying, then his problems will be solved. Our problems will also be solved. So let's look at slok number 12 in chapter 2, and we will move on. It says, Natu eva ham jatum na asam na tvam na ime janadhipaha न च एव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयमतः param. Lord says that it is not so that we were never in existence before. You, I, or these kings that are standing in front of you, It is not that they did not exist before. It is not that they will not exist in future, that they are standing in front of us. In other words, he is talking about the situation which is beyond time, the past, present, and future. We know that these people standing in front, including Sri Krishna Bhagavan and Arjun and the kings, as such as they are in the form of Arjun or Krishna, they did not exist before. And Krishna in that form that we are looking at, or Arjun is looking at, and his relatives and kings are not going to exist in future in the form in which they are. Because the body, when it is burned to ashes, never comes back to the same form. And we know that the body as such, consisting of elements, is not going to be restructured. So we must be then talking about something other than the body, other than something that we are seeing in front of us as a body or name or form. So we will have to then indirectly understand what we are talking about. Atman can be described or explained via media that you are understanding or able to see, and then we negate it that this is not what you know, and by negation then we will be able to arrive at Atman. Actually, that is the only way we are going to arrive, because there is no example or no incident or behavior or happenings that can really directly speak of Atman. But it will be an indirect way of approaching, and that is what we will do. So, here then in this slok, Shri Krishna is saying that Atman or God is beyond phenomenal world. And the phenomenal world consists of what we call Desh, Kal, and Nimit, that is space, time, and happenings. So we have taken care of all these things within the phenomenal world, and Atman is beyond the phenomenal world, and yet it is the support of the phenomenal world. Yet it is in the very midst of the phenomenal world. Yet it is behind everything, just like the sun that is behind all kinds of light and energy on earth. Any form of light, any form of energy, whether it's through fruits or whether through food or through atomic energy, all this energy has come from the sun. So whatever we are seeing, the changing forms, is still supported by that original source, what we call Atman. And here, therefore, we are not talking about the bodies of the people standing in front of us. Naturally, we are talking about the self. Self with S capital is also another terminology we will use for Atman. Little self is ego. When we talk about self love, we are talking about small s, that is our own pride and individual ego. But when we talk about capital S, we are talking about God. It is just like God, small g, and a large G, capital G, is for only one God, and small g is for many gods. It is the same way with self, with S capital, and S small, that applies to the remaining creatures in the creation. Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehantara prapti dhira tatra namuyati. Now Lord is saying what uh, uh, matters we are familiar with. The next slok, the slok number 13 in chapter 2, he is talking about a beautiful thing that we are all familiar with. That this Atman, the embodied entity which is called Dehina, which has put on this cloak or the body, this Dehina, this Atman, has a body that goes through with several stages like birth, youth, uh, middle age, old age, and then, of course, entering into another body. He does not really speak about death, but death is included in the sense that we are constantly changing. So, from birth, if we are changed to youth, birth itself is gone, it is dead, because we are now out of birth and into youth. When we are in middle age, then of course the youth is gone and dead. We are in the middle age. So constantly one thing has to die in order to have another thing reborn. So we are constantly going through the changes of the body and deaths, but we don't realize that. So we should also see that when we die means the body goes through that old age. It is another change that we have been going through every minute ever since we were born. And then we get another body which again goes through the same changes. So if we recognize that this is something not up to us, it is something that is made by the Lord, these are His laws, He has the wisdom why He has made that. Our job is not to question why, but our job is to understand what is happening and try to follow the laws so that we will be able to enjoy the whole universe that He has created for us to enjoy. He are supposed to follow rather than question Him. So here then is, if a person is wise, again we are talking about a wise man or a saint, that he will not be despondent, he will not be deluded if he remembers that these changes of the body are constantly going on. There is no surprise. We expect that and we accept that. If we can do that, then I think we are already wise. So you can see that to know this, we don't have to go to college. As a matter of fact, in the college, we don't even learn this. We sometimes learn other way around, and it will take a long time to erase what we have been taught that is opposite to the spiritual teachings. So a wise person is the one, we have already talked before, and you can make notes that how many points about a wise man will be indicated here or enumerated, so that we know that all these signs, if we find in a person or in ourselves to some degree or to some extent, then we can say we are approaching God or we are approaching our goal of peace, our goal of love or joy. So these are then the signs, if we are looking for the signs. And we will obviously see these are not necessarily physical signs. Physical signs are given only to negate it, that this is not what it is. Atman is not going through the changes of birth, growth, decay, and death. It is the body. So the intelligent man is the one who can understand the difference between the physical entity, which is body, and something that is not physical, which is not body, and we just don't know what to call it, but then we have already called it by several names, including Atman. The next slok number 14, speaks about a beautiful thing, that how we in this Maya get attached, get into the problems, what causes us. Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkadaha agama paino nityaha tan titikshasva bharata. Slok number 14, it says that by the contact of the senses with the sense objects, in other words, we have all the senses like eyes, nose, tongue, skin, all these organs, the senses that come in contact with the objects, uh, whether it's beauty or food or car or whatever, or the other person, these are the objects. When the organs or senses come in contact with the outside objects, then we begin to feel the effect of it. If supposing there is cold air and we come in contact with cold air, then we feel cold. If it is warm air, we feel warm. If we have incidents where we are happy, there might be incidents that might cause us misery depending upon our behavior and type of food we eat or the people we meet or the incidents we go through, like accidents or maybe a marriage ceremony where there is a so-called happiness. So depending on our environment, depending on the context that we make through our senses with the outside world, we go up and down. So, this going up and down, feeling happiness and misery, is nothing but the fact that we are coming in contact. If we did not come in contact with it, we would not be going through these changes, and therefore we would not have the problems. So, it is the touch, it is the contact, whether it is a physical contact or seeing by eyes or even listening by the ear. It is not directly touching, but all these things are called touches. And this, therefore, is the cause of our happiness and misery, what we call the dualities. But then they come and go. Agama paino anitya tantitiksha bharata. These experiences of happiness and misery, beauty and ugliness, youth and old age, joys and then feeling depressed, these things are not permanent in either case. Our misery is not going to be permanent as much as our happiness is also not going to be permanent. It is like day and night. They just follow one another. There is nothing we can do to stop it. It is the same with birth and death. It is same with happiness and misery. It is same with everything that is created that goes through this duality or the change. So they come and they go. They are non eternal, they are temporary. In other words, they are passing away. It's just like water flowing in the river. We are standing on the bank of a river. We see the water, we think that it is the same water, but at the very split second, you will see that it is not the same water because the water you just saw has passed away. And yet we see that it is the water there, and we might think it is the same water. It is not. Similarly, we look at the world, we look at ourselves, and we seeing it is the same person, and yet it is not the same person. He is not same physically, and best of all, even he is not same intellectually, mentally, and even his sanskars might have changed in split second. That is why we want to be very careful and vigilant that we don't think about people or the changing world as a fixed stone-like thing, but we give an opportunity that a person might have changed from the last minute to now, and I may be wrong to judge him from the past experiences because we have all the time an opportunity to change because it is the nature of the change. Now then, this changing thing, which in a sense we don't like because like we don't like to get old, and yet it is inevitable. Uh, we don't like to be unhappy, but we like to go after happiness. Well, God has already said that if you go after happiness, there will be misery. And if there is a misery, there will be happiness. Misery is not going to be there all the time. So these changes, which are non-eternal, we must learn to bear. We must float on it like the waves of the ocean. When we surf over it, similarly in life, when we have all these situations constantly changing we face, we should not be upset. We should not dance at the tune of happenings. We should not dance at the tune of what other people feel or even what happens to us within. If we can slowly realize that there is a way to overcome this, and that requires, of course, the purity of heart, which we will be talking later. But what Lord here is saying is that we must learn to bear. So, to have forbearance, to bear with the situations which are very good sometimes, and we are so happy. We dance, but we don't realize that the next moment we'll have some other news, and again we'll be going through the depression. So it is like sugar levels in the body. If they go too much up or down, we are unhappy. But if we can control it and if we can manage it in a very balanced way, then I think we have less problem and we can enjoy life throughout the day. But if we go very much up and down, then we have problem. It is the same in the world. If we get too excited like children when we get toys, and then when it is broken in the next minute or if it is damaged, then we start crying. If we can somehow learn to accept that these are the changing instruments or toys, and it is expected of that way, and therefore we make the best use of the equipment that God has given us, whether it is body, mind, intellect, relatives, friends, or any physical thing that God has provided us, we want to make the best use, and that we will be told how to make best use of it. To realize Atman, that is our goal ultimately, as we have been talking about. So in this slok then, forbearance, to accept, titikshasva, not complain. We have a nature of complaining all the time. We complain even when we are happy, that why we are not more happy. Or sometimes when we are happy and we look other people unhappy, then we complain about the world, and we don't appreciate what already we have. Somehow we find situation where we are always complaining, but we are not never satisfied with the situation, whether it is good or bad. We just are happy that God has given us that opportunity to us to learn something from this incident. So in this slok then there is another sign of a saint, or if we are progressing, or if we want to progress towards realizing ourselves, then titikshasva is the word. Learn to bear with it, learn to accept it, learn to make the best of the situation that we might be facing. Rest of the things is always, as we have said, being impermanent. We might just as well try to accept as impermanent, but we really don't. We say so, but we don't accept it, and that is what the whole problem is. Yam hi na vyatyanti ete purusham purusharshava sama dukkha sukham dhiram sa amrutatvaya kalpate. So again, when we have already spoken about happiness and misery, Lord says to Arjun in this slok 15 that a wise person, dhiraha, a wise person who can bear with the difficulties and he can stay calm under the situation that might otherwise normally upset us. If we can stay calm, then Lord says to Arjuna, and he is pointing out to Arjuna as Purusharshava, one of the best among men. So those who are listening to this message, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, or the message of the saints, then they are really the best among the men, because there are very few who have the courage, who have the good sanskar, who have desire to go beyond this physical world. So Arjun is one of those chosen one, at least he has chosen to listen to the Lord or to have him as his guide. So Lord says that those people who are balanced in sama dukkha sukham, in the misery or in happiness, due to whatever cause, if we can keep ourselves balanced, then he is capable, or he is entitled, or he is qualified to be immortal. Amrutatvaya. So this is the state we want to go. Amruta means eternal, immortal, because we don't like to die. And the body is going to die. So what do we do then? Then we have to find out if there is a state which we can reach beyond the body, if we can think of ourselves, not the body, because if you do think of the body, then death is certain. But there is something what we call of Atman. If we can approach closer to it, then we will be qualified to be immortal, and that is our goal. So, slok number 15 then tells us that to become immortal, or that is what we talk about saint, to become that, we have to be having forbearance and keep our peace, keep our cool under all circumstances, whether there is happiness or misery. Stay balanced. Stay balanced. Don't get too excited, because one thing will then cause the another way, and then we are always dancing at the tune and never at peace or never balanced. And a person who is never at peace or balance cannot be happy. Constantly moving like the waves, there is no peace. So these are the very important statement Lord is making here right now. Na asato vidyate bhavo, na bhava vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drashtanta tuanayoho tattvadarshvehe. This is slok number 16, in which Lord says that what is changing, what another word we use is asat, and asat means constantly changing. Non-existence means doesn't mean it is not existing, but the very minute we see its existence, it has changed. So the changing nature of thing and the whole universe is constantly changing. So we will call it anything changing is asat, not constant. And sat is something constant, which is what Atma again. So what is constantly changing does not exist, and what exists does not change. So we can say that the body, mind, and intellect is asat because they constantly change. We know that our mind constantly changes, our body changes, our intellect changes. So then we will call them asat or undependable or not the instruments that it will give us happiness because they are undependable. We cannot find them when we need. They come and go, as we have just said. Agama Parino. And this difference then between the constantly changing entities and the entity that does not change, which we call Sat, then to know the difference between the two is what takes a saint or saintlyhood. So here it is said, those who have seen Tattva, Tattva Darshivi means again the saint who has realized God. We would call Mirabai, Jesus, Mahatma Gandhi, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Shankaracharya, Kabir, Tulsi, Nanak, Surdas, Narsi Mehta, all these saints, of course, in the Western world also, Saint Bernard, Saint Francis, and there are many names that does not come to me in my mind right now. And in Sufis also there are many Sufis. All these things then are the Tattvadarshan. They have seen God, they have penetrated the curtain of Maya or illusion, and when they have done that, then they know the difference between the real and the unreal, between perishable and non perishable, which is Atma. This has to be seen, and not by this physical eye, because physical eye is not capable of being constantly changing. But when we say it has to be seen by the third eye, which we call is an eye of discrimination or an eye of purity. So if we have purity in our heart, that is the third eye through which we can really see the difference between the Sat and Asat, the existence and non-existence, love and pain. These are some of the words that we really want to not only understand but define so that we can understand what we are going through and what is beyond our understanding. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. Now, this tattva that Sat we have talked about is not only all pervading but it is indestructible. Everything in the world we see is destructible, as we have already said again, time and again. But this is Avinashi, and this is what we want. We want to be Avinashi, we don't like to die, we want to be eternal. Whenever we buy things, we want those things to last forever. I mean, we have at least that intention that we want to buy a camera or a car or even marriage. We think we are eternal, will never change, and yet we know that the very next morning things have changed. So, while our nature inside tells us that we are looking for eternal, what we find in the physical world is non eternal. So, Lord says that this tattva, this Atman that we are talking about, is indestructible. Nobody can destroy it. So, Kaschit Kartum Arhati. Nobody, there is not atom bombs or the earthquakes or any power in this world that can destroy this Atman, which is what we are talking about, the saint. So we will see that nobody can touch saint, nobody has been able to hurt saint, nobody has been able to kill or destroy saints. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.